We did it. I'm working the buttons. I'm working the buttons. Tavares, what's going on, man? Appreciate you joining, and thanks for helping me out with that thing we did yesterday.
It's all love, my brother. What's up, everybody?
Country fella, what's going on? Ellis, what's going on?
Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Otis.
Good morning.
Ellis, you going to Houston?
Ellis, you gonna be in Houston with us? I don't think Ellis is coming out. We're gonna try to get him out, but
no, I wasn't planning to, but yeah, maybe next time.
Yeah, when I have when we do the California event, we'll have Ellis out. SoCal. All right, folks, this is Clubhouse, obviously, but we're streaming on live stream. We're streaming on live stream. We're streaming on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And today we're going to break down the 4 data points of real estate. I call it the foundation of real estate. That guide, you folks on Clubhouse, that guide at the top, you can download it for free. It's been updated. The original one was a lot shorter. This is a lot more comprehensive, and it breaks down each of those steps, what happens when we get the answers, and how we apply those answers into our real estate investing strategy. So if you guys have any questions, feel free. I'm not going to be monitoring the chat on Clubhouse because press and hold to, oh, okay. All right. Android, man. All right. Let me go James up here. Again, if I move y'all to the audience, it's because these Android. But I'm usually on my iPhone, but these Android buttons are tricking me. James, what's going on, brother?
What is good, my man? How are you?
I'm all right. We're going. We taking it back to basics.
That's what's up.
All right.
Big fundamentals.
The fundamentals, right? I'm telling you, if you guys are getting into real estate investing and you're a new investor, mastering the 4 data points, you're going to be ahead of 95% of the people trying to get in the same space. It has multiple purposes, right? It helps protect you. It helps save time. It helps filter out all the noise. It helps you focus on what's important, so you don't get caught in all of these fly-by-night deals that are so great. And trust me, everybody that sends you a deal is far more optimistic about it than you are. So we need to be able to vet that stuff using the 4 data points. My name is Otis James. I feel like, are we missing something? Are we missing the let me see. Hold on. Let me see. Let me see. Because we let me see.
You're missing music.
I mean, okay, let's try again. All right, folks.
Hey,
come on.
There we go.
My name is Otis James. I'm a full-time real estate investor out of the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm a licensed real estate broker in California, licensed real estate broker in Georgia, former mortgage broker, funded just under $1 billion since we had our office. Spent the better part of 20 years in the multifamily commercial industry. I am the founder of the 4 Data Points Academy, where we take people with zero knowledge, take them all the way to the promised land as long as it takes. I'm also well-versed on the entrepreneurial side. I took $585, started a company years ago that went on to generate 7 figures in the short time that I had it. I'm licensed in the insurance space. I do not sell insurance. I'm not in the insurance business, but because I use it as an investing tool, I got licensed in it so I can speak intelligently about it. I'm a long-term hold investor. I invest all over the country. I'm not married to one particular strategy. I believe you should teach all the strategies and allow people to use which strategy works for them at that particular moment in time. This 4 data points, we call it the foundation of real estate. This is also week 1 when I'm training somebody. You got to understand how to answer these 4 questions. What does it cost? What does it cost to fix up? What's it going to be worth when I'm done? How much income can it generate? And that's where we are now. We are coming back to the basics. Week 1. What are the 4 data points? What's up, Richard? If you guys on stage can monitor who's trying to come up, you can go ahead and let them up. Folks, if you have questions, feel free to come up on stage and ask your questions. I do not mind being interrupted because I will talk for 5 hours straight. And if I stop talking, this is what happens. See, nobody likes that, right? It's awkward, isn't it? So I'm gonna keep talking. Tavar's got some questions in the chamber that he's going to be launching. As the conversation progresses, we're gonna give it about an hour, but I'm gonna answer any question that anybody has. Those folks on Instagram, I can see your questions, but if I'm not responding, it's just because it's too distracting for me to type it back to you. But if you guys are on Instagram and you have a question, just go ahead and put it on there, and wherever else. All right, Tavares, tell everybody who you are and where you're from. I know you're driving, but
What's up, everybody? I'm Tavares from the San Francisco Bay Area. I am also a health and transformation educator with the Body Synthesis, where I'm the founder. We mitigate health risks through preventative medicine, nutrient-rich coaching. I also serve as the manager of student relations here at the 4 Data Points Academy. I spent over 10 and a half years in the multifamily industry, finished up around the business manager status, and learned to make, the relationship with my vendors really, really important. You take care of your vendors, they will take care of you. Known Otis and James over 38 years, man. We go back like car seats for real. That's crazy when I say that thing out loud. However, I'm grateful to be here. And Otis, real quick, I wanted to apologize to you and Gloria for not asking my niece if I could hug her. And feel where I'm going with this. Growing up sometimes, our parents always tell you like, oh, hug your auntie, hug your uncle. And sometimes kids may appear to be reluctant. And we look at it as them being silly. And the reason I want to apologize to you, O, and Gloria, because I want my niece to know it's important that I ask her for permission to hug her. And the reason is because as she grows up, I want her to set that bar high so that if a man anywhere on this earth thinks that he could just push up on her and touch her, I want her to say, you know what? Even my uncle has if he could hug me. So a little something I want to share with you, my brother. I love you like that.
we don't accept your apology. We're going to register you on the what's the registry where you get what's the registry?
I'm so done. But all seriousness, that's how I feel about my niece. And I want her to understand that people should always ask to touch her or to hug her. So Amen. I want her to know how much I love her and I respect her. And so with that being said, folks, you are in the right space. We can all be anywhere in the world at this time, but we choose to be here at the 4 Data Points Academy. Set your stage. You are amongst family. You are seen. You are loved. Let's get it.
Amen. What's going on, country fella? Tell everybody who you are, where you're from, sir.
What's happening, good folk? Country fella, the Carolinas down here trying to make it do what it do.
Old player.
Everybody's having a great and blessed day.
You got that old player voice, right? Right on, man. I'll see you in Houston. James, tell everybody who you are, where you're from, man. Where's Credit Goddess? Bring Credit.
What is going on? Good morning.
Go ahead, James.
Good morning, everybody. My name is James Lewis. I am a business coach and a business consultant, depending on whether or not you have employees. I focus on some proven strategies to help you grow and make your business successful. So within the 4 Data Points Academy, what I teach folks is that real estate is a business. I encourage people to not look at real estate as something you do on the side, but to recognize that the most successful real estate investors are folks that recognize that real estate is a business and run it as such. And so that is what I bring to this conversation. Love talking about the basics. So I'm looking forward to this conversation. It's interesting because one of the things I always say to people is that it really doesn't matter how big our deals get or how complicated they get. When I'm having conversations with Otis or any of the people in our orbit about the deals that we have going on, those conversations start with talking about the 4 data points and really the fundamentals and whether or not it's a good deal. And those are the things that you need to know most importantly. So this should be a good conversation.
Amen. So the link is up top. I'll go ahead and put it in the Instagram chat.
And those are the things that you need to know most importantly. So this should be a good conversation.
Amen. So the link is up top. I'll go ahead and put it in the. Sorry, that's why they mute out Instagram. All right, I'm still learning on these buttons. My voice sounded silky though.
I like my voice though. It sounds I like how that sounds.
Yeah, that was my voice. That was my voice. So now
Well, it was
it's
both.
now it's weird. It was just mine.
I know what I sound like. I literally just said it, and never mind.
I mean, we don't have to make a big deal out of it. It's awkward as it is. But thank you for the compliment. I think that's what you were getting at. No. Okay. All right. Just move forward. Let's just not make any eye contact for a week and act like that didn't happen. All right, folks, www.4datapoints.net is the guide that we are going to be going over. It is free. You can download it. If you are a new real estate investor, do not get into real estate investing without mastering that. All right, 4 questions. What does it cost? What does it cost to fix up? What's it going to be worth when I'm done? How much income can it generate? Let's talk about first the purposes or the purpose that these questions serve. One is when you're looking at so many deals, let me turn this stuff down in the background. When you're looking at so many deals, you got to be able to rule them out relatively quickly. And I'll typically start with data point number 3 because I want to be able to see how much more I can make this piece of property worth than what I bought it for. But all of these data points play a role. Okay. The reason why I start with 3 and then I'll go to 4 is how much income can it generate, is because if those 2 don't line up, I don't have to research the rest. The hardest part is understanding data point number 2. How much income, what's it going to cost to fix up? What's the rehab situation? And people struggle with that only because the implication is that, okay, well, I have to be a contractor and I'm not a contractor. I don't know how to price this stuff out. As real estate investors, we need to take a higher level position. We need to hire people to do all the things, right? Now, if you are a contractor or you do understand, some of these trades, then hey, it's better for you. But ultimately, our goal is to underwrite and point fingers, right? You do this, you do that, and it's up to us to make sure that the deal pencils out. All right, so let's get into it. Data point number 1, what does it cost? Well, that's easy. If somebody sends you a deal, there's probably a number in there somewhere. Well, but before we get into that, Credit Goddess, are you with us? Rose, you with us?
For a second, I thought it was John Cena.
Why is that? Why is that?
Because you said, "Where's Credit Goddess? Where is she?" I'm on stage.
No, I'm using the Android on this Roadcaster system, so Android is, I don't want to offend nobody, but I'm just not used to going back to the Android, but so I don't have to set the whole thing up. Tell everybody what you do, where you from.
Hey everyone, my name is Rosalora Lewis. I'm also known as Credit Goddess. I reside in Florida, Palm Beach County to be exact. I'm a business credit coach. I'm a credit score improvement strategist. So I help my clients get in the best position for funding, especially you guys, real estate investors. You guys can definitely tap into pre-revenue funding.
Are we back to that?
Yes, we're back to that.
All right. A lot of pre-revenue people out there right now.
Oh, a whole lot of them. If you have really good credit, you can definitely tap into up to 250K, 0%, by just leveraging your credit. So don't let it sit on the shelf. Let's do something with it, especially when you guys are learning from Otis on how to position yourself with the 4 data points. And if you need that, that cash, that side income, or whatever funding that you need, I'm your girl. So I'm here to answer any questions you guys have.
Amen. Thanks. And like anything else, borrow responsibly, right? There's a million TikTok posts and Instagram posts about how you can get funding, and that whole, I'm not going to go on that whole rant right now. But,
yeah, and don't talk about how to pay it back.
Yeah, let's talk about how you going to pay it back. You got all the funding, now you got to pay it back. How you going to do that? So,
you're going to cover that. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, are they going to start coming to get stuff? I done been there. You ever had a car repossessed, Rose?
One time.
One time. Ain't that the saddest thing?
My very first car. One time. Yeah. I lost everything in real estate back in 2008, but I still had my car in the garage for like 7 months. And, hey, that was me too, Otis. I was riding dirty. I was.
But I didn't even drive it. It was like things got so bad that I just gave it to him. Like I was like, look.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I was like, I'm not bouncing back no time soon. And
Oh, listen, they snatched it up right from the parking lot.
I had a Chrysler 300, and the way the grill looks when it pulls away in the tow truck, it looks sad. It looked like the car is sad. That was a sad moment for me. Shoot. All right. Let's
Dude,
what's up?
did I still, if I hear chains, it reminds me of the chains from the tow truck.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hey,
Oh, you got
look.
PTSD, James?
It makes me, I get all triggered.
Oh no.
Yeah, you can get PTSD from being broke. I'm telling you.
For real. Yeah,
that's
never
traumatic.
want to go back there.
I ain't going back.
Now.
It's like,
Dude, it wasn't even, yeah, I have to tell you the story offline. It wasn't even my fault.
I'm sure if we trace it back, there was a component that was your fault in there somewhere.
No.
Yeah, being broke is like traveling first class and then having to go back. And then when you don't travel first class, you walking all the way to the back, but you feel the need to explain to everybody in first class that you're usually there. And anyway, no, just me. All right, it's fine. All right. Well, we digress. All right, data point number 1, what is the cost? Now, you guys will hear something called the 70% rule. It's pretty popular. I don't use it as, it's more of a guideline. But when you employ the 70% rule, and I'll explain what it is, 70% rule, you're pretty much guaranteed to make a profit, right? So 70% rule is basically a formula. And its purpose is to help you determine what your maximum allowable offer is. Excuse me. So the formula goes like this. Your maximum allowable offer equals the after repair value times 70%. So if the property is going to be worth $100,000 after it's fixed up, calculate 70% of that, $70,000. And then you subtract the repair cost. So let's say your repair cost is $20,000. Okay. You've got your ARV, your after repair value of $100,000. 70% of that is $70,000 minus the $20,000 repair cost leaves you with $50,000, and that's your maximum offer price. Again, sometimes sometimes I'll go higher. Sometimes I'll make it the 80% rule. Sometimes if I can see, some uncertainty, or I can, work the numbers a little bit more in my favor, maybe it'll be the 65% rule. But the goal is to make sure that you can build in profit to your investment. Now, if it also depends on what the investment is, right? So if it's a long-term hold investment, sometimes I'll go a little closer to 80 because I can make that up long-term. If it's a flip, maybe I'll be, I'll stick right around 70. But if times are hard, you still got to eat, you still got to hunt. Sometimes I'll make it the 75% rule, whatever it is. But it gives you an understanding of your maximum allowable offer. 70% rule. 70% rule, you can Google it. It's pretty popular. Another example, let's say your ARV is 200,000, your repair cost is 30,000. The calculation, 200,000 times 70%, 140,000 minus $30,000 repair cost puts you at 110,000. Your maximum allowable offer is 110,000. All right. So just keep that close to you. Again, it's not the end all be all. There's other things that you have to take into consideration to determine whether something's going to be profitable for you or not. But in the guide, I break down the 70% rule so that you're familiar with it. Richard, what's going on, man? I don't want to ramble and get to talking without giving you an opportunity to speak. Sir, are you there with us, Richard?
I'm here, my friend Otis, and I want to say, after listening to this room many times, everybody should definitely get a pen and paper out, because there's a lot of very valuable, very specific frameworks that you go over that can make money when executed optimally. So translation, get a piece of paper and a pen out. Don't rely on your memory, and be ready to take notes when that gold is dropped out there. That's what I wanted to share, but I always appreciate your rooms, my friend.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. And I'm making it easy for folks. That link at the top, I'm going directly off the guide that I created for our real estate investing family. So if you're not, I talk fast, right? Especially, you guys don't know it, but sometimes I had a parent teacher conference this morning, and I had my coffee. It was at 7:15 a.m. And then I came back and I was like, I should get a quick workout in. So I took the pre-workout, and then I was like, no, I'm not going to work out, but I'm going to jump on this podcast. And so, yeah, I'm talking, I'll be talking fast for the next hour. But that link up at the top is the 4 data points free download. So you guys can download it, and you'll be well equipped to dip your feet in the deep end of real estate investing. Now, we are talking about the 70% rule. Carter, I see you there, brother. What's going on, sir?
Hello, hello.
Man,
Haven't been on one of your rooms for a while.
did she let you out the house to play? Did you have to? Are you outside right now?
She still sends me to work. I still have to go to work every now and then. But yeah, I agree with Richard fully. The information that these guys share is.
I think he's in and out. Carter, we're losing you. Oh, there you are.
Yeah, no problem.
Hey, man, well, I appreciate you, sir. All right, so let's talk about the 70% rule for a second, right? Oversimplification of complex decisions, right? These are things you got to take into consideration. So the rule simplifies a complex decision-making process. Real estate deals involve numerous variables, including market conditions, property location, and the nature of repairs. Relying solely on this rule can lead to oversights in other critical areas. Folks, this is just napkin, let's call it napkin underwriting, right? The 4 data points is not the end all be all. It's just enough information to tell you whether a deal is worth looking into. Once we actually get into a deal, there's a completely different set of due diligence that we do, but the 4 data points will help us rule out some of these deals. If I go into my inbox right now, there's probably 20 in there, 20 deals in there that people send me. I'll say 18 of them are trash, right? Market sensitivity. So it doesn't account for fluctuations in different real estate markets. So adhering to the 70% rule is in a highly competitive market might mean missing out on potentially profitable deals. So conversely, this rule could still lead to overpaying in a slower market, right? So again, understand the 70% rule for what it is, but be well versed enough and understand the numbers enough to know when it's okay to go over 70% or go below 70%, right? Number 3, inaccuracy in repair estimates. So one of the rule's biggest challenges is accurately estimating repair costs. And when we get to data point number 2, I'm going to take a deeper dive into that because, again, we're not contractors. Now, after you do enough flips, you kind of get an idea of, certain costs. But somebody like me, I invest all over the country. Labor costs are going to be different all over the country. In the Bay Area, I got to pay a contractor $50 to swing a hammer. I can go to Alabama and pay a contractor $17 to swing a hammer. So all of those things are going to be different depending on when and where that you're investing. It neglects holding and transaction costs. So the 70% rule doesn't take into consideration your closing costs and holding costs. And what holding costs are what it costs you to own the property until you exit. So let's say you apply the 70% rule and you're doing a flip. And let's say that flip takes you 6 months. Well, the money you borrowed needs to be paid during that time. So principal, interest, tax, and insurance, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance are going to be paid every month until you exit out of that property. Exit means you either sell it or you replace that high interest hard money financing with permanent financing. All right. Keep that in mind. One size fits all approach. So, real estate investments, they vary in nature. A single rule might not be applicable to every type of property or investment strategy. That's just the way it is, right? That just goes without saying. All right. Now, the risk of overgeneralizing. So the 70% rule assumes a certain level of profitability that may not hold true for every deal. Market trends and rental incomes can vary, making some deals less profitable, even if they meet the 70% criteria. So let's say you do apply the 70% rule, but instead of selling the property, you want to keep it as a long-term hold. Well, if the rental income can't support the debt incurred of you owning the property, then it's not going to be a profitable situation. So again, the 70% rule is great to determine what you want to offer, but the 4 data points in its entirety is necessary to determine whether it's going to be a good deal or not. All right. Go ahead, Tavares.
Hey, what factors impact a property's after repair value?
So it depends on what the asset class is. So the after repair value on a single family duplex, triplex, or fourplex, right? It's all treated like residential. Single family is straight residential. Uh, uh, duplex, triplex, or fourplex is multifamily residential. 5 units and up is multifamily commercial. So I want to make that distinction. What's going on over on Instagram here? I got froze over there. All right, well, just gonna have to figure it out. All right. So hold on 1 second. Okay, all right. Well, it's all good. We'll see what happens. Bear with me. Okay. Hold on.
Everyone, please feel free to ask questions at any time.
All right. All right. So when you're looking at 1 to 4 unit, it's limited based on what similar properties are selling for. And that's not always an exact science, right? I had 2 different appraisers appraise the same property 7 days apart, and there was a $40,000 swing. So 1 to 4 units, your after repair value, or what it's going to be worth when you're done with it, is going to be limited to what similar properties are selling for in similar condition. Now, once you get into 5 units and above, the after repair value is based on your ability to increase the financials, specifically the net operating income. So when I teach multifamily investing, the goal is not just to improve the property physically, but the goal is to generate an increase in revenue as a byproduct of that increase in desirability. And that could be a physical rehab or whatever it is. But a multifamily commercial property is limited based on the rents in the area. Right. And we'll get into that. We'll get into that in a bit. We still apply the 4 data points, but instead of looking for what it's going to be worth when we're done first, if it's a multifamily commercial, we go straight to data point number 4 and look at how much income it's currently generating to determine how much we offer, and then how much income it's going to generate once we finish doing what we're going to do with it. So, and I'll go over that. That formula in a bit. Good question. All right, now let's get into what it costs to fix up, because a lot of people have a major issue with that. Okay. What's that, Tavares?
No, I said thank you. Well said.
Oh, right on.
And also, could you go ahead and give us a refresher on how do you determine the income potential of a property before buying it?
Yeah. So what I do is there's a bunch of subscription services that can give you kind of an analysis of the rents in the area. I use rentometer.com or rentometer. We've been arguing about how you pronounce that for the past 2 years. Rentometer.com. You just put the address in, some of the property details, and oh wow, some of the property details, and it'll give you an analysis. But let's say you don't have that subscription service, right? If you don't have that subscription service, maybe you're not in a position to pay for it. What I'll do is I would look at, so there's 3 things I look at. I have the subscription service, so I just plug the information in. It'll give me a rental analysis of what rents are in the area. Then I move on. But I also look at, okay, well, what does Section 8 pay for that unit type? That's going to be my floor, because I know worst case scenario, if I need to rent it out to Section 8, there's a waiting list a mile long for that. Now, that's not necessarily my go-to in most places, but I do look at what they offer just in case I got to pull the parachute and just get that thing rented out, right? Let's say I'm going over budget, or let's say there was some unanticipated cost and I'm right in the middle of the rehab. If I got to switch to Section 8, then I'm going to switch up a lot of the materials and finishes to lower cost materials, because the goal is to make it well, I don't like to use the word cheaper, to reduce my cost, right? If I'm going to do transitional housing or Section 8, I want it neat and clean, right? I'm not going to put higher end finishes in there. So the third thing that I do is I can go to Craigslist and just pretend I'm moving in that zip code and see what rents cost. just see what I could expect to pay if I was trying to move in. Now, the downside of that is there is no guarantee that they actually achieve those rents, because those are all properties that are looking for renters, right? So rentometer first, I'll do Section 8. I'll go to their website to see what they pay for that unit type as a backup. And then I'll go to, and if I can't do that for some reason, or I can't do rentometer, I'll go to Craigslist and pretend I'm moving into that neighborhood and get an estimate of what I can expect to pay. And then, I look at Craigslist has pictures too, and I can compare those pictures to my pictures, and the economic principle of substitution, right? If I charge this, what can they get for this if they go somewhere else? So I take all that in consideration. Ellis, you have something to add?
I was going to say, I really like this website called Zumper, Zumper. It kind of, it combines a lot of different for rent sites into one. So you can, I don't know how active it is in your area, but when I look there, I can get a really good feel for what stuff is renting for. But Otis makes a great point, is that those are the vacant properties on market. That doesn't mean they're going to get it. It works well in my in my area because we have a very short time frame to have vacancies. There's such a demand, but in slower areas, you do have to take that more into consideration. And sometimes I'll even do a dummy ad where I'll put something up for rent just to see what kind of response I get as well. So that's another way to kind of gauge what's happening in the market.
Nice. Okay. All right. That works. I can see that. Hold on 1 second, folks. I don't know what's going on with the, all right. I don't know what's going on with the, give me a second. Let me try something. Actually, you know what? No, I'm not going to do that. We're just going to have to work it out tomorrow. All right. So, let's get into the rehab stuff, because Carter, did you have something to add, brother?
Sorry. Yeah, just along the lines of the Section 8, if you struggle with their websites, because sometimes it can be really hard to determine what the values are, don't be afraid to pick up a phone and actually call that area's housing. Let them know you're looking at being a landlord in the area. They will give you all kinds of information because they want landlords to open up their properties to them. So yeah, definitely can get a lot of feedback from those individuals as well.
Amen. All right. Good information. All right. So now the rehab, right? Now, you heard me mention before, we're not contractors. So what do we do if we don't know how much this stuff costs? So I'm going to go over the list that I have in the guide that I have for you. And then I'm going to leave the list and kind of break it down for you. All right. Now, there's about, I think I got about 11 steps in there, 10 official, one's kind of a, common sense. The first thing is conduct a comprehensive property inspection. Know what you're getting, know what you're buying. You can do a personal walkthrough, or you can get a property inspection. Number 2 is develop a detailed scope of work. That scope of work is going to be the roadmap for your entire project. Rehabs live and die by the scope of work, and I will get into that in a second. We're going to spend some time on that. Number 3, use historical data. So if you've already been investing in that area, then you have kind of a lay of the land and you kind of know what to expect. Number 4, establish solid contractor relationships. You should be doing that everywhere you go. Every time I meet a good contractor, I put them in my database. I don't care if I'm not even invested in that city. If I'm going around, if I'm speaking in different cities or whatever it is that I'm doing, I'll go ahead and build that contractor database. It's almost, it's harder to find. Well, no, I'm not going to compare finding a contractor to a wife or a husband, but yeah, I'll let that die. Stay informed on material costs. So you guys know that we have these tariffs that they're talking about implementing. If they haven't already, I haven't been following, but understand those things are going to impact your project. And the higher the cost of materials, guess what? The higher the cost of your project, right? So understanding materials costs may play a role in determining the type of projects that you get. Number 6, factor in location, specific events. So we're talking about local building codes, permit costs, typical labor rates specific to the property's location. Number 7, include a contingency budget, 10 to 20%. Okay. These look, a lot of things go wrong. There's a lot of things that are unplanned. There's certain things that aren't even going to come up with a property inspection. We're in the middle of a project right now. The floor joists, which are the support beams under the floor, were in good condition. The flooring, but the subflooring was rotted out, and you couldn't really see it in the inspection. But hey, it is what it is. So we had to dip into our contingency budget. Number 8, use technology. So software tools and mobile apps, that are designed for rehab cost estimation can be valuable. I will say this, those tools are typically for contractors though. And if you're not a contractor, it's better to just go straight to the contractor. Those tools aren't always cheap either. There's a few discounted ones, but some of them can be pretty expensive. Who was that? Somebody came off mic, wanted to add something?
That was me right there. We have a question from Taylor Made. What up, Taylor Made? He says, I have several friends and family members that are in the market to buying their first property with the intention to make it their permanent residence. I tell them that it is a liability. My question is, do the 4 data points apply to the first-time buyers purchasing properties as a permanent residence?
No, because this is only for investment properties. Because otherwise, who cares if you're going to move in it? Who cares what it's going to be worth when we're done? And the type of financing that we use for these is asset-based and hard money. They won't even lend on your primary residence. So this doesn't apply to that. But if you can get well versed as a real estate investor, just buy a property as an investment and then later move into it, right? Rent it out for a year, move into it, or work it that way. Because once you understand how to invest in real estate, at least to a certain level, you can get into these properties and pay out of your exit strategy and not have to come up with a down payment, or incorporate some of the other strategies like seller financing, or kind of a hybrid of hard money and seller financing. There's a lot of ways you can do it outside of the traditional, let me put 3.5% down, or let me put 20% down and have them check my pay stubs and my debt to income ratio and 2 months bank statements and any inconsistencies on my credit report. And all of these different documents that they require. Is an easier way to do it. But to answer your question, no, 4 data points is only for investment property. Okay?
Thanks, so.
Amen. Now, number 6, factor in location specific events. I think I just went over that. That's in reference to building codes and permit costs and all of those things. Number 7 was a contingency budget. Number 8, use technology. Just be mindful of the cost of that. I don't like people spending money before they have to. And a lot of that technology is geared towards for contractors to use for their estimates to give you. Prioritize tasks. Understanding which renovations provide the most value helps in allocating the budget effectively. Seasoned investors often prioritize tasks that add the most value to the property. Curb appeal kitchens and bathrooms, folks. Curb appeal kitchens and bathrooms. Kitchens and bathrooms impact the appraised value more than curb appeal, but curb appeal impacts the market value. So what's the difference between the appraised value and the market value? The appraised value is an appraiser's opinion based on historical data of what your property is worth. Market value is what somebody is willing to pay. So they are not the same. Okay. They are used interchangeably sometimes, but curb appeal impacts the way a person feels when they approach your home, right? That emotional component to their first impression of your home. That's why many times you hear people talk about wow factors or one particular detail to really get people's attention. All right. Number 10, regular site visits and oversight. Active management of the rehab process allows for the monitoring of expenses and immediate adjustment if a project is going over budget. Now, when I teach people how to invest, I teach them how to invest from a distance. So what is a better substitution than your physical presence on the property? 2 things. Excuse me. The first thing is a property inspection. Can somebody bring Cheryl up? She's the property inspection or home inspection. They're going to go into all the details of the property. They're crawling in crawl spaces, they're crawling in attics, they're checking all the systems. That's better than I would even do if I was physically on the property. Now, home inspections can be costly. depending on the asset class. They can range, from a single family home anywhere from $300 to $700. If you're doing a multifamily commercial situation, it could be $3,000-$4,000. So if cost is an issue when you guys are doing a home inspection or getting ready to order a home inspection, what you can do in lieu of that is get estimates from the actual vendors that would be working on those items anyway. For example, have an electrician come out, check the electrical, do the same thing for plumbing, do the same thing for HVAC. And a lot of that stuff, you can look at it. You can look at property details. For example, if I have a property that I'm buying and it was built in 1930, I already know I'm replacing electrical and plumbing. I don't need a home inspector to tell me that those systems are trash, right? So just food for thought, right? But I would recommend a home inspection when you are newer. Once you get a little more seasoned, then you can, kind of shy away from that. But there are still times that even I will get a home inspection. All right. Now, and then number 11 is learning from your mistakes, which is they're just a part of life. That's something that we all need to do. Cheryl, how you going on? How you going on? See that? I can't talk. How you doing, Cheryl?
I'm good. How you doing, Otis?
I'm all right.
Sounds like it. That was actually an accident, but I decided to come up anyway and say hello to you and everyone else. So,
there are no accidents, young lady.
Okay, maybe I was meant to ask a question.
well.
No, it's funny. I was just talking to some HVAC people, and I'm like, okay, maybe I should be asking Otis these questions. But
yes,
it's okay.
You probably should. That's all right, though.
Later.
All right.
Later.
Well,
all right. I'm gonna mute myself. Okay.
I'll be here for you. All right.
Okay. Thanks. Bye.
So let's look at a scope of work when you're just getting started. So obviously you're not going to know how much anything costs, but you can go in there and make certain observations. And this is the same thing that I do when I'm turning a unit, which means if I have a tenant that moves out or gets evicted and I have to go back and determine what it's going to cost to get ready, I just take my iPad and I walk through every single room and make every single observation that I can. And then I take pictures of what I'm looking at. Okay. So when I'm teaching people how to do a scope of work, I start with, I do it with 3 phases, right? One is make every observation you can. The second thing is put it in a format where you can hand it to somebody. And then the third phase is actually handing it to somebody, bidding it out to multiple vendors or contractors. So what that looks like is if I go into the master bedroom, I'm just seeing what I want change. Okay, I know I'm going to have to replace the carpet in here or hard surface flooring, whatever it is. Windows, okay, definitely gonna have to replace these windows. Full interior paint of the closet, replace closet doors. I'm counting electrical outlets. Okay, let me see. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 outlets. Let me see. The bed's probably going to go here, and typically people have 2 nightstands on the sides of the bed. So I'm going to replace the typical outlet, conventional one with a USB adapter built into it. Okay, let me go in the master bathroom. Okay, this is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And I'll just do the same thing, right? I'll do the same thing. I'll just do that throughout the whole house, trying to add, whatever little details that I can for the next phase, right? Small details that make a difference. For example, the USB outlets, the USB-C outlets, those things make a difference, more convenient. The lights, the automatic light switches, right? That once you leave with the motion sensors, once you're out, then they'll turn the lights off automatically. Well, kids are always leaving lights on. So that's a nice detail to add. And the details we don't talk about. For example, I in the master bathroom, I'll put a really quiet fan in there. In the guest bathroom, I put a normal fan in there. Why? Because you don't always want the fan quiet. You ever go to somebody's house and you eat something and you're like, something's not sitting right. So, and then you got to go to the bathroom and you start. And I remember this was like in the 90s. I think it was like 90s. It had to be 97 because I was stationed in Burlington, Washington. And I went to some girl's house that I met out there. And her whole family was out there, and they had a quiet bathroom. They had quiet. When I tell you, I was like, something ain't right. It was an Imodium AD situation. I went in that bathroom, and I had more anxiety about the noises that I was going to make in there than I had about being in there in the first place. So every sit that's always been in my mind, right? So I put a normal fan in the guest bathroom because no one wants to hear no one wants to hear that. So anyway, food for thought. But there's a bunch of little details you can take into consideration. So you make all the observations you can, put them on an Excel spreadsheet, line item by line item. You don't have to put how much they cost, but you can organize it by room so you know exactly what you want done to the property. Now, this is the important part. Don't just have contractors come over and give you estimates, okay? Give them the scope of work, and they can still come over and look at the place, right? And have them give you an estimate based on the scope of work after they see the property, right? After the scope of work, because I want to break down, just in case I need to pivot, I can go back to that scope of work and say, oh, all right, look, we were going to do a hard surface flooring or replace the entire flooring. They're charging me $11,000 to do that. I'll tell you what, let's just go ahead and clean up the existing flooring. So in my mind, I just saved $11,000, right? But if they just come out and give you a general estimate, or I can do this for about $50,000 to $60,000, there's no breakdown in there. So if you don't have to pivot, you don't know what you can shave off, and you don't know what you can adjust. Okay, so scope of work is really, really important. Those are 2 data points. So we went over data point number 1. What does it cost? We talked about the 70% rule. Data point number 1 also translates into what am I willing to pay? We just talked about data point number 2. What does it cost to fix up? What does it cost to fix up is your scope of work, right? What is your improvement cost? Data point number 3 is what is it going to be worth when I'm done? Okay. I got to know what it's going to be worth when, by the way, if you guys download the guide, I have 10 examples of the software that you can use, but Builder Train, Co-Construct, Procore, RS Means, Exact Remodel, Esticom, Cost Certified, Clear Estimates, Plan Swift, Stack is another one. There's a list on there. Just understand that some of those are, they're not cheap. All right. So data point number 3 is important because I need to make sure that I can add value to this. If I can't add value to it, which means I can't make it worth more than I bought it for, that doesn't mean it's a bad deal, but that means it's going to be a long-term hold and I have to make my money back over time. And if I have to do that, then I have to realize the opportunity cost of me investing in that subject property. Opportunity cost is the opportunity that you forego by investing in your subject property. Like, what are you giving up? That's the opportunity cost. And for somebody like myself that can turn, 15 cents into $1, my opportunity cost is typically higher than the average person. So I have to take that into consideration. Okay. Now, what is my after repair value? It's easy. What are similar properties in the condition that mine is going to be in selling for? And that is something that you have to check repeatedly during your project. I had a situation where I was supposed to exit for $625,000, but guess what? Interest rates kept going up mid-project again and again. I think they went up like 3 or 4 times. Well, guess what? The person that could afford my house at $625,000 could no longer afford it. So my buying pool shrank. And then we ended up exiting at about 560, maybe 570, somewhere around there. But it was okay because I bought it for 400 and then I put about $55,000 into it. But I also took on a bunch of other debt and, paid some investors, some returns and so on and so forth. So I didn't get to keep as much as I would have liked. All right. So data point number 3, comparative market analysis. What is that method? It involves researching similar properties in the same area that have recently sold, right? So if you're rehabbing a 3-bedroom, 2-bath in a suburban neighborhood, you'll look for recent sales of similar 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes in the same neighborhood or nearby similar neighborhoods. Okay. Again, there's a component of that that's subjective. 2 appraisers can look at the same property, look at the same information, and come up with different numbers. So just keep that, just keep that in mind. Then you got to make adjustments for differences. Okay. Let's say you're looking at properties that sold in your neighborhood, but maybe their kitchens aren't updated and yours is. Or maybe they don't have AC and yours does. So you've got to make those adjustments. Now, when it comes to making adjustments, how much should you adjust or how much should you take away? That's not an exact science either. So you may have to bring in an appraisal, right? When I'm looking at comparables, I need enough information to convince me, right? If I'm on the fence, my risk increases. Okay. So I need enough property sales to give me some confidence. You also got to consider market trends. Be aware of whether the market is trending up or trending down. A lot of people don't. A lot of people will also look at comparables and just use the comparables that best support your argument. That is the quickest road to bankruptcy, doing that. Right. So beware of whether the market trend is trending up or trending down. In a rising market, your ARV might be higher. In a declining market, it could be lower. And appraisers will typically try to make that argument. There's, in this whole industry, I think my least favorite is banks, but appraisers are really, really close. Oh, by the way, it's a felony to try to influence an appraiser's decision. So you emotional folks, just don't follow the appraiser around the house trying to threaten or do whatever. Right? You may want to, but don't do it. All right. Impact of renovations. So that's a big deal, right? Now we're getting into how your renovations compare to other comparable properties renovations. And then professional appraisal is another way. And you can utilize real estate investment software. There's software tools available that can help estimate ARV by analyzing vast amounts of market data and trends. Some of the like PropStream and I think Batch Leads and REI Pro, I think they have some of those components in there, but I gotta go organic with it. I gotta look at the actual sales myself. I don't trust the software to be able to do that. All right. That's data point number 3. If you guys are looking for property management software, things like PropStream to help you review comparables and send out campaigns and all that. I have an affiliate link, and you can get it for a little bit cheaper if you go through my affiliate link. Carter, what's going on, sir?
I just was going to add, when you're evaluating a property, don't be afraid to actually go visit the neighborhood. It's great to do it all digitally, but drive around. Is the neighborhood on the way up? Is the neighborhood on the way down? And you talk a lot about that over the years, and it's a great, just common sense, drive into the neighborhood. Is this a place I would want my daughters to look at buying?
Yes.
Or maybe in 5 years, not necessarily planning your numbers saying, oh yeah, the numbers don't really work, but in 5 years the numbers will work. But if the numbers work and it looks like the neighborhood is on its way up, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Don't get into the hole and speculatively decide, well, yeah, the numbers don't really work, but in 5 years the numbers will work, or this factory is going to go in. Be aware of where that area is headed.
Amen.
Even if it's not someplace you live, you can get a good feel just by visiting and driving around.
Amen. And Carter, you and Cheryl have been with me for a while. So that's how I used to teach it when I first started teaching the 4 data points. One of the things that I look at is, because in our, we used to do it live, run the 4 data points live in our Zoom calls. I would look at, is this a street that I would feel comfortable playing on as a kid? And if it doesn't pass muster, then I'm on to the next one, depending on what it is. If I'm doing transitional housing or some other stuff, it's a little bit different. But yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. And some of the things I look for are food deserts. If there's no grocery store, then that is a huge red flag for me, because typically you'll see, Church's Chicken, check cashing, all of these places that are indicators that this area may be more on the disenfranchised than the up and coming side. Also, I look at sidewalks and streets. Are they putting any money in? Are they investing in the infrastructure, right? And I've heard some investors make the argument, well, I look for things like Whole Foods and, some of these other, kind of staple stores. And that's okay. I get that. But if you're looking for those you're already too late, right? You're already too late. So thank you for bringing that up, Carter. Now, the last data point is data point number 4. Okay. Now, I just use Rentometer, and Rentometer has 4 steps. It has 1, you go to the website. 2, enter property details. 3, analyze results. It'll do that for you, right? It'll typically give you a range. 4, review comparable rentals. That's it, right? So that's the easy part. Now, remember, what does it cost? What does it cost to fix up? What's it going to be worth when I'm done? How much income can it generate? This is only for the examples I gave you were for 1 to 4 unit. We still ask the same 4 questions, but when we get into multifamily commercial, we are more concerned with the income than we are some of the other ones, right? We're concerned with all of them, but we prioritize the income because the income is what determines the value, more specifically, the net operating income. So I'll give you a quick rundown and then we'll go ahead and wrap up for today. Again, that link, 4datapoints.net, the number 4, DATAPOINTS.net, is will give you the entire guide of what I went over for the last hour. Well, multifamily commercial, how do we determine what it's worth now? We look at the current rents, we calculate, we annualize it, okay? And then I'll typically back out 35%, depending on the asset. The bigger the asset, sometimes I'll go 35, 40%. Sometimes I'll go as low as 20%. And folks, when you hear me talking about multifamily commercial, I have a reason for going against what some investors might say. Most investors will say, look, 45%, I'm backing out for expenses. I was overseeing $650 million in multifamily commercial assets. I was doing annual budgets in excess of $50 million annually and managing $13 million in expenses a lot of these years. So there's things that I take into consideration, like, all right, is it staffed, right? Or really examining like the expenses based on all of the reporting that I had to do over the years. So sometimes I'll say 20%, sometimes I'll say 35, sometimes I'll say 45%. When I'm calculating what the expenses are to back out. So I total up the rents, the in-place rents right now. This is when I'm trying to determine how much to offer. I take those in-place rents and then I'll back out, let's say 30%. What I have left is my net operating income. Now there's a cap rate in a particular neighborhood, and that cap rate or area, most of the time they do it by zip code, but if there's not enough information, they'll go by city. So the cap rate is the relationship between a building's net operating income and what it sold for. So I'll give you an example. If a building sold for $300,000 and its net operating income was $30,000, how do you determine that value? You divide the NOI by what it sold for, you get the cap rate. In that case, it's 10%. You take the average cap rate from all the transactions and you apply it to your subject property. So after I back out 35% for expenses, I'll divide what I have left, net operating income, divided by the cap rate, and then whatever that number is, that is what the building is worth at the time. Now, all that stuff can be manipulated. Okay, so cap rates are great. It makes you sound smarter. You probably be the life of the party. You walk in there talking about cap rates, pluses and minuses, and all that other stuff. I go by cash flow. But when I'm negotiating, I need a point of reference. So I'll use a cap rate and the current financials to determine what it's worth now so that I can determine what my offer price is. Now, obviously, I'm going to have to take in data point number 2, rehab, and what I'm going to have to do to fix it up. But how do I look at what it's going to be worth when I'm done if apartment buildings aren't valued based on what similar properties have sold for? Well, I look at my gross potential rent and do the same math. So if I buy it and the average rent is $800 a month, and then I rehab it and do what I'm going to do, and I can raise the rents to $1,200 a month, well, guess what? Now it's $1,200 a month times how many units there are, times 12 months, back out the same 30, 35%, whatever I used the first time, and take that number and divide it by the cap rate. Now there's a different value. So now I use the same formula and I have 2 values. One was my purchase price. The other one is my after repair value, or what's going to happen when I'm done. I do not recommend you guys get into apartment buildings without a mentor. I promise you, it is a completely different ball game. There's much more that can go wrong. You need somebody to hold your hand through that process. You can go to some of these other these other folks, you know, and charge and pay $40,000, $50,000, and most of them have never actually operated themselves from the sales position to the asset management position, right? But a lot of them are selling it. I get it. You know, you can do that, but just understand, once you get into multifamily commercial, all of the protections that we have in the 1 to 4 unit space go away. The government says, hey, look, if you want to jump off the porch and run with the big dogs, then you should know what you're doing. Okay. So just make sure you guys just don't run into multifamily commercial without a mentor. Even folks that I mentor, they typically graduate up to that. And I have to hold their hand through that process. Amen.
Amen. Hey, real quick, what's the biggest mistake investors make when estimating repair costs?
The biggest mistake investors make, they don't have a defined scope of work.
Okay.
And they make decisions during the process that adds to change orders. They don't do enough due diligence. Maybe they think they can get away from paying for a property inspection because they're well versed enough. But if you're investing in areas outside of your own, those things can change, right? Zoning requirements are different. Permitting it could be a different process. There's just too many things that could go wrong. And that scope of work is your Bible for your rehab. So that's where most people go wrong. Go ahead, Carter.
Ice-T had a question about whether you were speaking on rental or not, and I thought it was good to readdress or talk about the strategy of buying and holding versus flipping, and how you might be wanting to produce a long-term income stream versus a quick payout.
Absolutely. So if I'm doing a flip, it's for one or two reasons. I need cash flow. And if I need cash flow, that cash is going into a cash flowing asset. You can't talk about generational wealth if you just keep flipping everything. You got to hold on to some stuff. So if I just need to improve my liquidity, then I'll just go flip something. If there's people in our real estate family that maybe they don't have the resources to do something on their own, then I'll put a group together and we'll just go flip something. I'll take like 10%. If I don't have to give that 10% up, because I'll give it up so they can make more of a profit if we come too close to breaking even. So long-term holding, that's where true wealth is built, in my opinion, because a lot of the benefits you get from owning real estate come over time. You could depreciate it over 27 and a half years. We're talking about 1 to 4 unit. It's different for multifamily commercial. It's 39 years. Yes, you've got the cash flow, but you're also expensing a lot of the interest. You're expensing all of the actual expenses. There's just so many benefits to the long-term hold situation. And then as the value goes up, your net worth goes up. And if your value and equity and net worth goes up, well, guess what? Now you're in a position where you can borrow against those assets to buy more assets. And it's just an ongoing process, right? Until you've acquired enough assets or enough doors, right? Because I'd rather have a 20 unit apartment building that's 20 doors than 20 different single family homes, right? So once you start accumulating these doors, now we're talking about long term. Now we're talking about retirement. Now we're talking about generational wealth. Now we're talking about really stepping on the gas on that road to wealth. So when we talk to people in the beginning, when they join our real estate family, we have that conversation most of the time. And we teach them how to invest in multifamily and residential, right? Multifamily commercial and residential. And we just combine those curriculums, right? We used to keep them separate, but now they're combined. So yeah, so if there's a multifamily commercial opportunity, I'm leaning towards that. But if there's an easy flip I can do and just be in and out in 120 days or so, some quick cash, all right, then I'll do that. I'm having to do more flips because I'm allocating so much time into mentoring and teaching people and making sure that they have the support they need, that I'm sacrificing what I would be in the resources for my investing, right? So now I have to be very strategic about how I invest. But a good question though. All right. Any more questions before we get out of here, folks? Remember that guide is at the top, 4datapoints.net. Some of you guys already have it. If you guys are interested in having a real mentor that is going to see it through for as long as you need, doesn't matter how long it takes, and that's going to teach you the fundamentals and then put you in a position to get out there and do the stuff, you can go to 4datapoints.com and set up a call with us, right? And follow me on TikTok. We had to do a new TikTok page. Shout out to all 64 people following me right now. We're really breaking the internet with that.
There you go.
I think we're just right behind Taylor Swift and Kim Kardashian, right? So if we can get 65 today, that'd be nice. Sorry, that's sensitive when it comes to that.
Before we get out of here, what's a red flag that tells you to walk away from a deal, even if the numbers seem solid?
Why would I probably in a war zone. I don't invest in war zones only because there's always other deals, and it may be a situation where the numbers look good, but there's certain things that could impact my quality of life. Like if I'm going to visit and I got to deal with certain problems in the hood, I don't have the temperament for that. And you know how I travel, Tavares.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm not trying to deal with all that. So if I think it's a dangerous place, then I probably won't invest there, or I'll have people boots on the ground that live there that can navigate that environment. But yeah, that's it. But if the numbers look good, numbers don't lie. Right? The numbers can look good, and then mid-project things change, and I always say control the controllables. There's enough things outside of your control that you have to worry about. So master the controllables and control them. Be able to mitigate risk to the best of your ability. Then if things go bad, I always ask that one question: would I have done the same thing again, given the information that I had at the time? And if the answer is yes, if I lose money, I don't sleep at night. Right? No one's going to hit it out the park every single time. You better have a lot more wins than losses, right? In this game. All right.
Thank you for that. Appreciate that.
Yeah. All right, folks. We'll be in Houston. Oh, and what about a week and a half? What is this, the 11th?
That's right, man. Out there in H-Town.
11 days, and we sold out. I think we were one over, actually. So I'll open up a couple more spaces. If you guys are going to be in Houston, February 22nd, we will be at the Hyatt Regency in Galleria, 2626 Sage, and we'll be at the Hyatt Place, which is right next door on Alabama. So we're going to do both. We have the meet and greet at the Hyatt Regency Friday, the evening of the 21st at about 7:00. And then the following morning, we will be at the classroom over at Hyatt Place right next door. And then after the classroom, we're going to decompress a little bit, probably hit the bar at the Hyatt Regency just for a couple minutes. And then those folks with the appropriate tickets are going to be up in my suite. We're going to, I've got some food there for you guys, and I've got some tasty beverages for you guys. How often are you doing lives? I do this every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 a.m. California time. The goal is to let more people know who I am. The biggest complaint that we get is, man, I wish I'd have known about you, beforehand. A lot of people come into our real estate family they come from other programs, and a lot of them have been mistreated. So I know it's out there. So I'm trying to make an effort to let more people know who I am before it costs them something. Taylor Made, what's going on, brother? Taylor Made.
Hey, on Saturday morning.
Hey, go ahead.
Are we doing brunch or breakfast? On Saturday morning?
No. Because we're Saturday morning. We're going to be, 8:30, 9:00. We're going to be starting class. And I'm teaching, man. We do these workshops to teach, not to, try to entice you with the lifestyle that you could have as a real estate investor if you give us another $25,000. Now we invite everybody to join our real estate family everywhere we go, but we teach so people that even if we never see you again, you're going to have enough information to be able to get out there and at least be productive, to get out there and do something. And we're also going to give you the materials to take with you so you can review it. And, the goal is you get out there and do some stuff and, start building up your confidence. And if you need a mentor, you know where to find one, right? Because Otis gave you all that game for free, baby. What's up, Taylor Made?
Hey, Otis, we're doing a scope of work, and you said something about replacing like the outlets and stuff with the C charger outlets and stuff like that. Are in the multifamily, are you remodeling the entire you're just doing one property, or you doing like multiple properties? Like say you have other tenants that live in there, but you had an eviction and one, do you fix up all of them, or you do that one?
I just do that one because the other ones are probably going to be occupied. So I'll do every one that is vacant. And I also weigh the cost. So uh, when you get in a multifamily commercial, there's so many things that offset an idea, right? For example, the way you do the rehab. Now, you can make it as beautiful as you want to, but you're still going to be limited by the amount of rent you can charge. So you don't want to rehab it too much to where it takes too long to recoup that based on the increase in rent that you can charge, right? So there's a balance there on how we're going. The neighborhood plays a big role in how I do some of these rehabs, right? What other properties are renting for, what other units are renting for plays a role. So, it really depends. And maybe I'll have 3 different packages. I'll have a higher end package, kind of a medium, and then maybe a lower end package. What I'm going to do with the building makes a big difference also. If I'm using it for transitional housing or a group home or something like that, then I'll take all those things into consideration. But you can only do what's vacant. And if you're buying a property and you need to hurry up and increase those rents for it to be profitable, if there's leases in place, you got to be able to manage that process, right? You have to adhere to those leases. And if you are using hard money and you're not doing the major rehab, then guess what? You're going to have to rehab it out of pocket, or you're going to have to borrow from somewhere else that's not tied to the purchase. See, a hard money lender will pay a percentage of the purchase and 100% of the rehab. But if you don't execute that because there's leases in place, you have to wait till they expire. That's something you got to take into consideration. So the multifamily commercial stuff, folks, make sure you have a mentor that gives you actual support, right? When you need
Hey,
it.
like Carter was saying about the area and stuff like that.
Mhm.
How do you know how to hold or to sell? Like, do you factor data points in that too?
Yeah, I just look at the math.
If you have tenants already in the property, though.
Yeah, so I'll look at what they're paying, right? And if what they're paying is suitable for me as a long-term hold based on the cash that I put in. Now we're talking about our cash on cash return. If the income that it generates as a percentage relative to the cash that I put in is satisfactory, then I'll keep it. If they're under market value, then I have to look at that. How much are they under market? When did their lease expire? If it's a multifamily commercial, it's even more serious because the income's tied to the value of the building. So if there's people there under market, then I'm going to have to go in and I'm going to have to correct that or see what it is. I'm a lot more lenient on the rent in 1 to 4 unit because it doesn't impact the value. I'm more strict in 5 units and above because it directly impacts the value. So, there's always multiple thought processes concerning this, and you have to weigh all of them. Go ahead, Carter. I see your hand up, sir.
And not to drag this out further, but this is exactly why you want to have someone you can reach out to and ask questions about, because every market is different. Every market has different rules on what you can do with existing tenants and how much you can raise existing rents and how long and how much you have to wait. So having Otis's team available is an amazing feature for Cheryl and I, at least, to be able to just reach out and say, okay, this is what we thought, but does it make sense? And just having that second voice of, yeah, this makes sense, or no, you didn't think about this, because you can really quickly get in over your head and be committed to some major mistakes.
Amen. And I appreciate you saying that, Carter. I had one person, I'm not going to say his name, Jeremiah, who's he called me because every once in a while, there's certain people I'll call and check out. If I know they got a project going on, I'll call and check on them. I said, hey man, what's going on? He said, man, I'm having trouble getting this place rented out. And I immediately have a list that I go down. Okay, well, what are you doing? Where are you advertising it? We talk about the 4 Ps, right? The 4 Ps are the product, the person running it, the promotion, and the price. And usually, if you adjust the first 3, the price is the last thing you have to change. And he's been trying to rent it for about, I want to say, God, almost a month. And he had somebody doing it for him, and he's pretty good, right? But he was just doing what regular people do. And I said, just send me the pictures. And I created an ad for him, and he got the place. It should be, I think it's rented out now, but he had multiple people come in and try to rent it after he did that. And I say all that to say, look, if you guys are in our real estate family and you have an issue, do not try to work it out yourself, especially when you're talking about investment property and income producing property. That was what I did for a living, right? That was my corporate job at the corporate level, making sure that these developments were profitable. And I learned from some of the largest companies out there, right? All I did was adopt their best practices, scale it down, and put it in a way that I could teach it to the average person. So yeah, a mentor is important. You'll pay for a mentor or you'll pay as a result of not having one. Okay, period. Now, for the folks that can't afford it, I'm always doing the free stuff. Look, I'm doing this stuff right here. I've been doing this 4 years. I got a guide teaches you how to keep yourself out of trouble. All you got to do is download it up top. Right? I always create a space because people may not be in a financial position to get a mentor, but they may be tomorrow. And if I can teach you first, like if I've been teaching you for 2 or 3 years just in the public arena, then who are you going to go to first? Me. That's why I do this, right? So people get to know me and they understand how I work and how I teach, and my level of authenticity and integrity and all that other stuff. So thank you for saying that, Carter. Folks, I don't know how many of you are over 40 years old listening to me right now, but one thing I learned after crossing 40, I'm 48 now, my birthday's in a couple weeks. One thing I learned is when your body tells you you have to go to the restroom, you better be going to the restroom, because if you try to fight it, nobody wins. So my body's telling me no. But my bladder is telling me yeah. Shout out to R. Kelly. All right, y'all. Look, your time is the most valuable thing we had that you have. I hope we were able to honor it by giving you something that you can learn from. Look, I'd love to mentor everybody in this room. We're not scaling up as quickly as we can because we don't want to sacrifice the integrity of what it is we're doing. So we're about quality and not quantity. So we can only accept so many people in at a time anyway. But if you're looking to become a real estate investor and you're serious about it, schedule a call with us. Ask us the tough questions. We will not get offended. That's the only time we get to brag on ourselves anyway. So feel free to do that. Those of you guys that have been listening and coming into the rooms, jump on our social media, follow us, leave a heart, comment, whatever. The more people that know who I am, the more opportunities I can create for other people. And those opportunities, creating them are one of the few things that bring me fulfillment. So we appreciate the support. So that's how you can give back to me, as I've been giving to y'all for the last few years. That being said, we are out. No, let's go out this way. How about that? And we are shutting down the live. Thank you, folks on Instagram, folks on Facebook and YouTube. Appreciate y'all. We are ending